And you measured carbon dioxide, and that is I think an important point to make. Can you explain the purposes of that and what you found?
Yes, so mitochondria, when they're working, they need glucose and they need oxygen. If you're burning oxygen, you're producing more carbon dioxide. So these poor people who we sat down, forced them to drink a lot of sugar water, pricked their finger every few minutes. We also put a tube up their nose and we measured the amount of CO2 they produced. And the amount of carbon dioxide they produced went up. And when we gave them a burst of red light, as with the blood sugars, we corrected the situation. So we had two independent metrics, and I should say we did this study between experimental group and a control group that weren't exposed. But then the experimental group, we went back to them and we retested them without the red light. So we actually got we got two facets to it, and it was the data. The data were very firm, rock solid. I was extremely pleased.
This is so exciting to me because the clinical implication of, or the clinical focus of improving metabolic health in lifestyle medicine is very much focused on diet. It's low carbohydrate, carnivore diet, which is an effective intervention. But there is no talk about light from those quarters. Whereas previous guests that I've had on this podcast, particularly Dr. Jack Cruz, has been saying for quite a long time that it's actually the light that is the most important factor in affecting metabolism via pathways such as this. So can you give us an idea about the magnitude of that blood glucose decrease, just so that we can get an idea?
It varied between people, but it's around 17%. I mean, that's not marginal. And I would add on to this. We haven't published this yet, but we're 3/4 of the way through a study on diabetic people with type 2 diabetes. We've got exactly the same result, absolutely the same result. So we wanted to pilot it in normal subjects first because it was easier to get the ethics, and we had people all around us. But this is translatable. It is fully translatable. There are a number of other things around this domain that are worth paying attention to. So if you look at epidemiological studies, you find that people who spend much more time in daylight have much better regulation of their blood glucose than people who spend their time in an office environment. Light is key because it's the spectrum of light. So we give red light. We work mitochondria harder, they eat glucose. We can slow mitochondria down as well. So if we give blue light, that slows mitochondria down. And then when we do a blood glucose test, we haven't done this on humans, we've done it on animals. We give them blue light, we give them a blood glucose test, and their blood glucose peaks very high. So light is influencing metabolism systemically. And one of the issues we have in society now is that we're spending a lot of time indoors. We're also spending a lot of time under LED lighting. And LED lighting, it may not be obvious to people when they look at it, has a very big blue component and no red component whatsoever. So if you go out in daylight, there is actually a natural balance between blue and red. Although you can't see most of the red because it's beyond your region of sensitivity. Our vision really stops around 750 nanometers when we're on the border of infrared. But infrared light goes on to 2000, 2500 nanometers, and you can't see it, but it's having a big effect on your metabolism. So you drag people indoors, you change their lighting, and metabolism shifts, and that is only just beginning to be appreciated.